Welcome back, folks, to episode 86 of the Wet Shavers Roundtable. I am Douglas Smythe from PhoenixShaving.com. You like how I very seductively sat down in my chair? We have a very special show for you today. We've mixed things up. We've reorganized the chairs, the deck chairs on the, well, not on the Titanic, but on the good ship Shaves a Lot today. We have, instead of Matt today, we have Leonard Ibarra, the Desert Shaver.
What's going on, everybody?
How's it going?
We also have, well, we have an old deckhand with us aboard who is, shaving as we speak. It's Scott Ostermill, everybody, the clean shaver himself.
Hey.
Hi, Scott.
How's it going? Sorry, I lost the signal for you there,
He can't
Douglas,
be
for a second.
bothered, Douglas. He's got to shave.
He's like, I'm doing something right now.
I'm busy.
And I don't, you know.
You're lucky I'm
I know, right? Well, our very, very special guest today, who's already part of the show, Mr. Jordan Crowder of the Gentleman's Scofflaw podcast, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Woo!
Thanks for having me on.
For those of you who don't know Jordan Crowder, he's also done under other names. I know, right? Who does that? But Bill, if you've ever entered wet shaving into YouTube, what usually pops up first is Shave Like Grandpa. And the character in that video is, well, it's Jordan Crowder going under the name Bill.
Yeah.
Speaking to God in his bathroom. But he is the videographer also of The Art of Manliness.
Correct.
So,
yes.
I just blew all of your minds. You're like, oh, yeah, it makes perfect sense. So we finally tracked Bill down, and the reason why we couldn't find him for the last 5 years is because it's really Jordan Crowder. But it's great to have you with us, Jordan.
It's that hard to do.
So, Jordan, we're going to just start from the top, really, where we typically start in this show, and that is how you stumbled into the wacky world of wet shaving. So begin.
Well, it's funny because I actually started because of the Art of Manliness, in a sense, because I was in my first job out of college, and I needed to, shave every day, look presentable. And the Gillette sensors that I used to use, the old cartridge razors, they stopped making the generics for them, at least at CVS where I used to buy them. And I remember going to CVS and seeing the actual price of real Gillette sensors and not being able to find anything like that was good, that was disposable or whatever. So I started looking around on the internet. I experimented with an electric razor for a while, shaving in the car,
electric plucking.
But yeah, I remember I had been searching online for cheap options for shaving, and also how to get rid of irritation and stuff. Because even with my sensors and stuff, I had bumps all over my neck.
Oh yeah.
And I stumbled upon Brett's article at Art of Manliness. And the first time I read it, I thought it was a little bit silly. I was like, well, I'm not going to use one of those things. That's just silly. But maybe I'll try with a brush and some soap, because that makes sense to me. That stuff's supposed to be natural and not have all the aerosols and, I don't know, all the chemicals and stuff that's in those cans. So I started off using, I think it was just what I could find at CVS. It was the Van der Hagen stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And that made a huge difference just using that. And I was using that with the Fusion because that was I was like, oh, I guess I'll try the latest thing. And I loved the way the soap felt and the way my skin felt, but I was still getting the gnarly bumps on my neck. And so eventually I just kind of gave in and got a safety razor and got started, and the rest went from there.
Excellent. But how did you get in touch with Brett and whatnot? How did that fall into play?
It's funny because I've always worked as a videographer, and I contacted him because they have such great articles on their site, and they still do, and did back then. And I was like, there's a few of these articles that I think would make good videos, and one of them was the wet shaving video because it worked for me, and I was like, that'd be a great video at the time. there was only, I think, Mantic 59 and like Geo Fat Boy, and they had great videos. But I remember thinking like, as me, someone who's getting started, I would never watch a video that long. A lot of the times where they were like 20 minutes long, and I was like, for somebody to just like that doesn't have a lot of time, we need to get them sold in under 5 minutes with something that's funny and that could get that could catch them. And so that was where I was like, I learned a lot from there he is, Mantic 59, and I learned a lot from him starting out. And so I was like, I'd love to have something that was just short that could be shareable on like my news feed or something on Facebook. And I love like those old instructional videos.
Oh yeah.
I went down the wormhole watching like maybe watch about 40 of those on archive.org. And I was like, we got to do a video like this. And so I'm being kind of more of a filmmaker background and sketch comedies being my background. That was like, let's make a funny wet shaving video. I pitched it to Brett at first. At first he was like, I know I want to do videos, but I don't want to go down that rabbit trail yet. So, and I'll probably use somebody local because he lived in Tulsa at the time, right. And still does. But, and so a couple of years went by, they still hadn't made videos, and I reached back out to him. I was like, well, what about, what if we just started with this kind of thing, like just for fun, see how it goes. So we did a video on, it was called Do It Now, which was it was an informational video about keeping your life organized. Yeah.
Never mind. Sorry. That's pretty stupid.
And not leaving things to the last minute. Like it was a cool video, and that did really well. And after that, he was like, "Yeah, let's start doing weekly videos in the new year." So that was in the fall, the end of the summer 2012, and then that spring we started doing weekly videos. And one of the first videos we ended up doing when we started going weekly was the wet shaving series of videos.
And it's an instant classic, everyone recognizes that. It always pops up. You can't get rid of that video. Like, who the hell is this guy?
I'm glad people like it. I know like it's such a brief introduction, but I figured it would make people curious. I know doesn't have all the information in it, but that needs to be there. But I was like, at least it'll make people we're kind of laughing about it. Like, hey, this seems kind of really weird to use this old timey thing. And so I think I always think like if you could use humor to kind of like, and then kind of poke fun of the things that people are already going to say and poke fun of first and disarm them, they're more likely to want to get started.
Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me, guys. I have a beard. But no, but that's what's really cool. Is like
that's okay. So does the clean shaver.
That's the clean shaver.
Yeah,
we practice irony here.
Which actually today I wanted to shave. I usually shave on Saturdays. But apparently our bathtub is leaking to our neighbors downstairs, and they came in super early. Like, we got to work on your bathroom. So luckily, this isn't in smell-o-vision. I haven't showered or shaved today.
Juices, nice. But no, it's just great to finally, because we've tracked down everybody over the years. I think that has anything to do or say about wet shaving. But Bill was always, you just couldn't track this guy down. You couldn't find him. It was like everyone saw the video, but we could not find him. So it just, when you stepped up to me at last year's Big Shave West, it didn't even click then because it was out of context. Though it shouldn't have been, but it was.
Yeah.
And I
saw him this year, and I was like, I know that face somewhere.
Well, usually when
I've seen it.
It's easier to recognize me if I'm wearing the glasses because I wear those big vintage glasses.
Yeah.
I don't usually wear glasses on a daily basis, but it's Saturday and I didn't want to deal with contact lenses.
Hey, I'm leaving. I think I'll read things today. But no, it's just great to have you on board. And it was great to have you at this year's Big Shave West, especially. For those of you who were there, that there was a podcast happening in the back of, not in the back, but in front of the stage, where the Scofflaw podcast was in full swing, and Jordan and Donovan and Lacey were, interviewing people here and there on the scene. And I guess you're going to use it in a future episode or something?
Yes, we actually posted a link to it on our we have a Patreon page where we post all of our extra stuff that we do, all of our extra episodes and stuff. And it's not paid.
Oh, cool.
You don't have to pay to watch it, but that's where kind of our news feed where because we do, extra things, kind of like half episodes or whatever, because we had just done the wet shaving episode with the wet episode with you and Matt. So we didn't want to have two wet shaving things back to back, but we posted it on social media, said, hey, if you want to see what we recorded on that the wet shaving.
Okay.
We did. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, well, I guess that brings us to the podcast then. I mean, how did the podcast begin?
Well, it's funny because it kind of started for me, even it's not like officially an Art of Manliness thing, because I currently we're not doing weekly videos for Art of Manliness anymore. We just kind of took a break from doing that. We still have other projects and videos in the works, but it's not going to be weekly content, at least for a while.
Right.
But I still wanted to explore a lot of the subjects and ideas of the Art of Manliness, but being a comedian, doing it in kind of a funny way, picking like using the chat show kind of format is what I wanted to do, and also do stuff that's even outside of Art of Manliness, because I'm interested in in film and comedy and just other stuff.
Sure.
So we called it the Gentleman Scofflaw Podcast because we into all things gentlemanly, but it's also a little bit irreverent. So the Scofflaw idea, which people don't know, is like an old prohibition
What's
term.
Scofflaw mean?
Yeah, it's a term from like the prohibition era that means like the people that scoffed at the law of prohibition and still did what they wanted. And for years it was kind of like it's almost like the word punk, but punk is, or like punk rock or something. It's like a fancier way of saying someone that's kind of like punk rock almost. At least that's the way I see it.
The title is a oh gosh, what's the contradiction? Oxymoron.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much.
Scofflaw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. Like all things millennial, it's ironic, I guess. But
right.
But yeah, so we have different guests all the time. Like we did an episode with you and Matt on wet shaving. We did an episode on the pipe smoking. Oh yeah, we did an episode on the pipe smoking hobby. We had this actually. I just came in from recording with Zach Anner, who's a comedian and actor today, a good friend of mine, and then we've also interviewed a style blogger. We've got coming up in 2 weeks. We've got John Lear, who's a writer and improv comedian. He produces that show. Quick Draw was the original Geico Caveman.
Oh,
so just like a bunch of random stuff like that, where it's like, oh, I'm interested in this rabbit trail. I want to chase it down and interview that person. So
I was listening to yesterday's the male sex therapists.
Oh yeah.
Changed my life.
That's what I was just going to mention. It was really.
Oh, you listened to it too, Leonard?
Yeah, I listened to it this morning.
Oh,
actually.
awesome! Thank you.
We're fans. Scott, how did you enjoy that episode?
I haven't listened to it yet.
God!
I will.
But,
you didn't tell me that was going to be part of the homework.
No, it's okay. I kind of dropped the ball there. But, this is our first episode back after the Big Shave West. And I felt like since all of us were there, we could also talk a little about the Big Shave West. Because I don't think that our camp has spoken yet when it comes to all things Big Shave West. I've seen so many videos. I've happily seen so many videos on YouTube, postings, Instagram, so on and so forth, and it's quite amazing. It's actually really cool because it's kind of like, I don't know how many of you people out there have been in a rock and roll band, but I've been in many a rock and roll band, and the biggest problem I've had with it, not really a problem, but just the biggest, the saddest thing about it is you can never see yourself play. Like you can't, unless you've got that figured out. I haven't. But I mean, even when you videotape it, it's not the same. Still, you'll never be able to see yourself play. And it's the same thing with the Big Shave West. You can throw on a really killer shave festival. Yeah, because that's the thing too. Is a lot of people have been calling it. I've been seeing like different terms like trade show or I don't know, just different things. But I think
go down that path again.
I think it's more of a festival. A festival. I think it's a wet shaving festival. And so you can throw a killer wet shaving festival, but you can never really partake in it almost. It's really
well, it's almost like your own wedding. Like
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah. Speaking as a married guy, it's like you do all this preparing and everything, and it's this big event, and then it kind of you blow through it, and you're like, I guess that's it, and you don't really remember everything that happened if you're in the middle of organizing it and kind of seeing it from the outside perspective.
Yeah, I always felt like I'm getting something done. Like, okay, I just finished that. Check. Let's move on to the next thing I got to do. And everyone else is like, woo!
But you do get to enjoy it a little bit more when you hire a fake version of yourself.
Well, I thought that was gonna solve all my problems.
That was pretty cool.
There was for those of you who weren't there or haven't heard, there was a fake Douglas behind my booth because I wasn't going to be able to be there the entire time. And fake Douglas was played by Charlie Pecoraro, a good friend of ours, and actor. So he actually fooled many, including Damon. Damon actually fell for it too, because Damon talks to you looking down, but not looking down in a snobby kind of way. He's like physically looks tall. Like, did I miss a spot in my shoes? But Douglas, by the way, and he's talking to my, I guess, my shirt. And then for a while, and then he looked up and realized it wasn't me. But,
that's funny.
Yeah, it was really it was quite epic, and
it was great, man. Just speaking from an outsider perspective. Now all my words are messed up. It's gonna be that's it for the rest of the show.
Boonerisms from here on in.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like it's. I mean, it seemed super organized and well put together, and it was set up like an event. You're like, oh, I'm here, and there's things that are planned. And, that's what you want when you go to one of those things. Just feel like that there's some thought that got put into it.
Yeah, there was at least a week's worth of thought put into that. I got there a week before everyone else, so I was like, okay, now we're going to do this. Now Dan was like, wait, we're doing what now? I was like, yeah, we're going to – the stage. You cannot find a tablecloth in downtown Pasadena.
Really?
You cannot buy a simple tablecloth
unless it's like it'd probably be like a $20 like vinyl like dollar store tablecloth for $20.
If there was one there, I did not find it. The ones I did find were $150 at some fancy store. But yeah, up to the last minute, I was looking for the perfect tablecloth. Something I never thought I'd ever be looking for, but like that was what I had to get done. The morning of, I was still looking. Eventually, what you saw on the stage, those red tablecloths, were pieces of material I bought from Michael's and kind of got a little Martha Stewart with. But I think I pulled it off. I don't think anyone realized it. But,
hey, that worked.
That worked. If you
hadn't said anything about it, nobody would have thought anything.
Yeah, it's like in film school when you go buy the green fabric to make your green screen.
Yeah, or a tarp. Use a tarp outside. But I did want to show a couple things that I got at the Big Shave West. This is my range leather bag.
Oh, nice. Those are nice. I was looking at those.
It feels like I don't actually know what a baby seal feels like, but I would imagine it to be like this. And I don't mean that
like this.
Yes, like that, Scott. It's kind of like this. If I wet it, maybe this would emulate a baby seal's skin feel.
Seriously, it's that nice.
It is that nice. And I don't mean that like I mean I am a vegetarian, so I'm not like I don't mean that in a cruelty kind of way, but I mean it really is it's just an awesome DOP kit handmade at the actual festival. Or actually the Big Shave West. I'm gonna stop calling it a festival.
Was he actually making them there?
He was making them there as well.
I didn't. That's the thing is we were at the table most of the time. I missed some of that stuff. Like I glanced around really quickly at the beginning when everyone came in, and then I didn't get to see everything. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's why I don't like to be stuck behind a table any meetup I go to. People typically want you to sell them, and I'm like, no, I just want to be able to walk around and experience this. Otherwise, I'm not like a participant. Really, I'm just like part of the backdrop for other people's experiences. It's kind of deep there, didn't I?
Which is why I enjoy going as just like as an attendee.
Yeah,
it's you get to go around and you experience everything.
Yeah,
It really has almost like a family reunion type feel to it, because there's so many of these people that we talk to here and there on online forums or whatever, but we truly might only see them one time a year. So, I went there anticipating, all the different guys who I haven't got to see in a year. And it was just awesome.
Oh, it really was. Yeah. And the demos really killed it this year for me. I so want a 3D printer right now. And the only reason why I don't have one is because I just don't have the time to buy one and then figure out how to use it. But plus now I know Aaron really well, so it's like, hey, Aaron, here's another idea for you. And I'm hoping that make me something.
Now I got to learn how to use a computer.
Because I mean, it's like anything else. It's like a design program. Like once you know Photoshop, or once you own a Mac, or once you own a PC, and you know how to use Photoshop on the PC, you don't want to upgrade to the Mac where you're going to have to relearn all the shortcuts for Photoshop or editing software or anything else. You know, like once you learn something, you're pretty all set. And they know what they're doing. That's how they get you. But it's the same thing. I totally forgot what we were talking about even. But that's how into this I am. But another, yes, 3D printer. That said, this is what Aaron gave me.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
Oh, cool.
Now I go to meetups and people are always offering me soaps and splash. I have so many soaps and splashes, so it doesn't really stick out for me. I appreciate it, don't get me wrong, but it's not exciting for me. Not like getting this bad boy or getting this was. I've seen these inserts in the forums for years. So he made this. Now it didn't come with a DOC in there, but he made this to fit the DOC razor.
That's cool.
And it wasn't with the tin either. It was just the insert. And another cool thing about the insert is there's a blade bank on it right there. So used blades go right in there.
Very cool.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Cool. So I've been seeing these for a while, and it's something I've always wanted. I just hadn't had a chance to order one from them. I just didn't even think about it.
I want to get the Altoids one because it kind of has a cool like a hidden, almost like a book safe kind of hidden.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with the blade bank here too. I feel like I'm being like a deviant or something. Yeah. But yeah, so that's a couple of the things. Oh, I also got my my holy black button. Now I'm in the club.
Oh, there you go.
I have one of those.
Is that like joining the Illuminati?
It's kind of like that. In fact, I've changed my name to Lou Minotti. So after that, and then lastly, now this is something that no one else. I can assure you. Actually, no, I can't. I would say there's only one other person at this meetup that got this. This is
that?
From Craig the Barber.
That's from Craig the Barber. Yeah, we had him on. We recorded.
Exactly. Did he hook you up with one of these also?
He did not.
Yeah, I think he only had 2 on him, and I was one of them. But Craig, I had on our podcast. We had him on twice back in the day on Mustache and Blade. I always loved having Craig on board. Craig is another one of those guys. Like I said, when we look for guests, we seek out anyone that has anything to do with wet shaving. Craig is another one who's like on the fringe. He's done many a YouTube video, put out many a tip, but not many people know of him unless they heard the podcast or somehow found him. But he's one of the guys who started it all, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to YouTube videos and just talking about wet shaving and stuff like that in general, male grooming. Yeah. So we had him on the show a lot in the past. And then he kind of just disappeared. Well, or had it anyways in our minds, just falling off the radar. But he showed up at the event and it was like, Craig, and he's my size. I thought the guy was huge, like in his videos and whatnot. It's like, man, I thought I was talking to this tall guy, but in interviews and whatnot. He's my size. But and I remembered he was putting out a soap like 2 years ago. I know he was trying to crowdsource this project, and I asked him about it. Yeah, he had some on him, and the stuff is awesome. It's more of a cream. I've actually been airing it out,
and it doesn't dry out, right? When you're using it, is that the idea behind it?
I don't know what the idea behind it is.
I think that's what he was saying on our show, was like he wanted something barbers could use that they wouldn't have to keep having to reapply as the guys are sitting in the chair and stuff. It would still stay wet and moist.
Well, that's what it's like a cold cream almost. Yeah. It's a cream. However, you can use your brush, and you should use your brush, but and it does lather up. You can whip it up, and it's got like a thick, like Cool Whip type consistency. But really good. I was really impressed with it. So, so Craig, if you're watching, and Craig will be actually, now that I think about it, he'll be a guest since we've reconnected. May 20th, I'll have him on the show. Awesome. But Burke Avenue by Craig the Barber. If you guys can find that,
it looks very fancy.
It is fancy.
Awesome.
He's done it right, but it's really good stuff, and it's really different than a lot of stuff that's out there. So I was very excited to walk away with that. So that's what I got. What happened? That was my experience at the Big Shave West. How'd you guys fare?
Who's going first?
Go for it.
All right. So I was gonna say, if somebody else went first, I could grab my items from Big Shave West. So,
okay, I have some stuff here.
All right, go Scott.
All right. So the one that a couple things actually that I picked up. Obviously, the meetup soap and the aftershave from it. I was impressed. I'm actually not a huge rose fan, so I don't know how often I'll use it, but it's nice. This one I actually picked up. I was a little hesitant at first, but first do. Because, you hear about it and you're like, wait, there's coal and smoke.
It's manly.
And
it's cool.
Here I am.
What is that? But then, having used it a few times, that's what I just shaved with, actually, was the first do.
It's the dark chocolate, Scott. Really, like it
Yeah.
ties the room together.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Then let's see. What was the other thing I picked up there?
Scott, does that shelf go all the way to the floor?
No.
Oh, okay.
I feel like that's like the shelf in Buzz's room in Home Alone. That's just gonna all fall. It's so loaded with shaving equipment.
Yeah. How many
No,
nails
that
are
thing,
holding that up?
thing will never come off.
Okay.
4. But it's very well mounted into the wall. Another one that I picked up was Envy Shave.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
The winter, or was it winter forage? Yeah, really nice stuff. And then my first official local gent purchase, California Barber. Really nice. Love that stuff.
He gave me an aftershave too. I have actually Rob's local gent aftershave.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, you're fine. That's about all I picked up from there, if I'm remembering correctly.
Leonard is back.
Okay.
Leonard, what do you got?
Leonard, go for it.
All right. So I had quite a good haul. I did not get the shirt this time.
I can't wear the shirt.
Oh, right. I should have done a censored version too.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I did pick up some Tokyo Rose
Nice.
shaving soap along with aftershave. Now, when in previous years I had bought the swag bag which came with them, and I didn't happen to do that this year. So as soon as I got there, I just ran towards the PAA table just to make sure, and like pushed my way through the crowd to make sure that I was able to buy one of these, because I had a feeling that they were going to go extremely quick. So that was my very first purchase. Then later I picked up this lather bowl. So this is from Diego Thermal Scuttles and Bowls, and they were just awesome. They ended up selling and
Almost all
super
of them,
quick.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they did sell all of them by the end of the day. Yeah, and so I saw this one, and immediately I just grabbed it off the table and told Mondo's wife, Nikki, I said, start wrapping this one up because it's mine. And so
It's like an inverted turtle.
It almost does. Yeah, you're right.
That's what he should call it on the
looks
shop.
so
Inverted
different.
turtle.
It's also could be. It's also something that happens
That's
after
illegal
you
in
get out
poor
of the pool.
countries.
Yeah, honey, we have an inverted turtle in the pool again. Get your suction cup. Go on.
I did play drums for Inverted Turtle in college.
That's a great band name, actually. Okay.
So, anyways, the Inverted Turtle, that's the official name of this bowl now, is awesome. And then I picked up from Regiment, I picked up
that's cool.
Beachmaster.
Beachmaster.
So
I
this
love
was-
their like branding. It's really like military and kind of it's kind of fun.
They always have a lot of
Yeah,
people
and
around
then,
their
you
table.
know,
Like,
fun.
I could never
Like
get
the
into talk to
military.
them.
Fun like the military.
And
Bunch of
I
fun-loving
ended
guys.
up they started selling this on Thursday or Friday. It actually went live. They soft launched it at Big Shave West,
Oh.
so we were able to buy it there. But they officially launched it Thursday or Friday. And in the description, they talk about the Beachmaster is actually the name of a certain group of guys who are trained to support, like do combat support on the beaches.
Mhm.
Oh.
And they're a specific group of soldiers called the Beachmasters.
So it's not a play on Beastmaster?
Not that I know of. That's what the product description
They
is.
should make a, yeah, I mean, I had this image of like Mark Singer there with the weasels on him, like at the beach.
Yeah, no, and then I couldn't go wrong with some pomade.
There you go.
They weren't there though, were they? Lariat was there?
No, they weren't.
No, they weren't there. However, Old Town Shaving, I guess Layrite has changed their jars, so they had all this stuff on 50% off.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Cool.
Awesome.
So why not? Why not? And that's the extent of my haul. But I
Does he
did
have a gong
bring in
on
to
his
match
desk?
your
Oh, there you go.
match your
I
shirt.
told Douglas to let me know when those go back on there because I want to order them before they're sold out again.
Yeah, they're coming back soon. They're in production right now. And actually, they'll be in black as well.
Oh, wow.
These are going to be hard to get for a long time, I'm guessing. Unbelievable. This thing's crazy.
Super cool.
Thanks, Leonard.
Leonard, do you have a gong on your table or something like that? You set something down hard and it went like some resonance.
Probably just
yeah. Was it a tom tom? Are you behind the drums? Inverted turtle.
I am. Yeah. Inverted turtle. We're making a comeback. Okay.
Just trying to get some practice in.
Yeah. Exactly.
So what was that noise, Leonard?
I don't know. I'm trying to like reset things
probably,
down.
Yeah, it might be.
Is your desk made of metal or something?
No, it's a wooden desk. It's nothing fancy. Very high quality wood.
Is it a Coco Bolo?
It could be.
And how'd you do, Jordan?
I didn't have a lot of time to look around this year, but I did get some Edwin Jagger premium shave cream, the lime and pomegranate one, which actually my wife likes this one too. So
yeah, good luck with that.
And then, of course, this stuff that I discovered there, I hadn't Tombstone. I didn't even that was cool about being there is I could actually open everything up and smell it and stuff.
Right.
And I love the smell of this. And my wife loves the smell of it on me, so that's a bonus.
That is a bonus.
And,
that picture of me on there actually was taken in Tombstone.
Oh, really? Cool.
One of those caricature. Yeah, that's how lame I am.
The aftershave that goes with it. So, yeah, and we're giving away one of these on our on our Instagram profile for Gent Scofflaw. If you go and check it out, we're doing a giveaway for it this week.
Yeah, cool. Actually, everyone find. I think part of our competition, our giveaway that we're doing today. Because I'm not sure if I mentioned that or not, and I should probably mention that now. There's the giveaway below, guys. Click the offers button. You can enter that. And if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, you can enter the giveaway also. How do you enter the giveaway, you ask? Well, I'll tell you how you enter. You like, subscribe, and comment below. Simple as that. And after a day or two, I will randomly, I'll count the number of comments, assign numbers to each, and randomly select one. And you, yes, you will be the winner of an aftershave and soap by yours truly.
Awesome.
So that goes to live crowd now, guys. Just giveaway for you, and after the fact crowd giveaway for you. So make that happen, folks.
So 2 giveaways.
That's right. I'm just crazy giving it all away here. But any questions for Jordan?
I'm already following you guys on Instagram. Okay.
Yes. I think that's one of the things to do for our giveaway is to follow him on Instagram, or it might be Facebook page. There's something going on there. But yes, guys, if you have any questions for Jordan as well about anything, Gentleman Scofflaw, podcasting, YouTubing, videography, art of manliness, and more, he's the guy to ask. And I see
Jordan.
Sorry,
I have a question for him.
Sure.
Are you related to Steven Crowder?
Yes, he is my brother, my little brother.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought he was younger than you. Okay.
Yeah, we're 22 months apart, so.
Okay.
Scott, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Who's Steven Crowder? And how do you know?
He has a YouTube channel. He's been a commentator on on the Blaze Network. He's a comedian, but he's also runs a political YouTube channel called Louder with Crowder.
Okay.
Watched a lot of his stuff.
Yeah,
he's funny as heck, but
he's very funny but very triggering. So it depends on where you line up. But he's got a great show. And I've done some work on his show. We don't get political on our show. We kind of like to keep it neutral. But yeah,
right.
I mean, he's my brother, and I've learned a lot from him when it comes to podcasting and radio stuff. So.
Very cool.
Well, I saw the name out, and you guys look at least a little bit alike and sound a little bit alike. So I was like, I wonder if there's a relationship there. So
yeah,
it's
funny. People are like, you guys look exactly alike, or you look nothing alike. People fall in either one of those camps. It's really strange.
I'm going to ask if he's related to you. I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna have him on the show next week. In fact. No, that's very cool. We do have some questions below. Unless Leonard, do you have a question for any of us? Preferably our guest.
What about the Seth Rogen range?
Not at this time.
Okay, then let me take this question below. This comes from Mark, and he says, okay, wait. Sometimes I got to read these before I read them out loud. Otherwise, I end up saying some nasty stuff.
I get the Seth Rogen thing a lot, especially when I haven't shaven and I'm wearing my glasses and my hair is really like kind of when it gets long and curly. That's usually
there we go.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just dye it ginger and you'll be Seth Rogen. There we go.
Yeah. People say
Well, I have to do that too, Douglas.
You have what?
What's that?
What do you have also?
Oh, me or Jordan?
You said Douglas, so I only assumed you were talking to me.
I have to do that too. Where last year I was the MC at our company Christmas party, and I had this list. I had Googled family friendly Christmas jokes, like limerick, like one liner kind of things. And I didn't put
there can't be too many of those.
Yeah, that didn't go well.
Yeah.
Those Andrew Dice Clay limericks.
Hickory dickory dock.
Well, some of them are like, why is the Christmas tree better than a man? Nope, you're gonna stay for that one. You know, and just like had to censor myself after I was reading some of the jokes.
That's great.
Anyway, on to the questions.
Yeah, okay, let's actually. I want you to read them, Scott. I want to keep you busy. So,
okay. All right.
I learned that teaching second graders. I don't really teach second graders. Go on.
I heard a weird topic on bowls with grooves that they can damage brushes. I've never had a problem, but is there any truth to that? I would assume no, but just curious on your input.
I would have to say grooves and bumps and stuff like that. No, but I have seen some bowls with like little like small like dots, or I'm trying to think of something I've seen. Even some of those Turkish bowls with the enamel, if it's sharp, then yeah, if every time you use like a natural brush around that, it's gonna hurt it a little bit. It might aid in breaking it in though, but if it's sharp enough to hurt your finger when you're whipping it around, that's a good indication that's going to affect the brush bristles as well. What do you guys think?
I would say unless you're actually mashing the brush down into the bowl and using the grooves that way, you're not really going to damage the knot. I mean, it's going over scruff of hair on your face that's probably more sharp than the grooves in the bottom of the bowl. So I would not read a lot of that.
I wouldn't even worry about that.
Yeah, I don't usually use a bowl or a mug really when I shave. I just do it on my face, so I wouldn't even really know. Yeah. But I feel like I'm probably mashing it down because I remember when I did first start out, when I was using the mug or like with the soap. Now I mostly use like creams or softer soaps, but I would mash it down and then you pull it out and then like the hairs
they're like folded.
Yeah, so
they're all tangled and
yeah.
Looks like Bob Marley.
Chad Burns says go with an inverted turtle and you'll be just fine. So
yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I did want to. You had a question for me actually, Jordan, on your last podcast too about the history of shaving, men shaving.
Yeah,
and
oh yeah, like how did they do it before the straight razor?
Yeah,
that's old.
They would use like clamshells and pluck. It began with plucking.
Really?
Yeah, or obsidian. Eventually, they moved on to obsidian.
Okay.
They were using obsidian axes. They also were using stones to shave with as well. They also had creams they would use. This is back in ancient Egypt.
Wow,
where it all started. But
yeah, because I always wondered when I watched the old movies, all those guys were like smooth, like wet seals.
Yeah. Don't
like
say
Fred Flintstone.
Taking it back there. When I was a vegan, I wanted to start a vegan nightclub called Club Baby Seal. And
I would
sorry, I forgot what we were talking about. Yeah, so shaving began back with.
I got a band you could book for that.
This weekend. Inverted turtle at Club Baby Seal. But yeah, so that began thousands and thousands of years ago. But most shockingly to me was the creams that they use. Like we think of like Nair and like Magic Shave as like these new like powders and potions that at least from the last century. But they've been using them since the dawn of time, really. Because what they found out, and you can tell all your beardo friends to this, the reason why men started shaving is because the big beards would pull in water, and in colder climates, it would speed up frostbite and so on and so forth. So they had to get the hair off their face.
Yeah.
It was also important, like for gladiators or for soldiers, because it was just something that other soldiers could grab onto. Your enemy could grab onto you and take you out. So it was a handicap that needed to be removed. But I just love seeing the guys with the beards talk about that. Caveman, da da da. It's like, guys.
Yeah, if you're getting into a tussle with any of those guys, that's the first thing you're going to do is grab that lumberjack beard,
pull it down into your
put
knee.
your fingers in and pull it down.
Yeah. Who's going to be shaving now?
You got some extra velocity on your punch there by pulling on him toward you.
Yeah, exactly. It's a key.
That's why all those UFC guys are like they got shaved heads and like they're except for I guess for like Conor McGregor and stuff, he's got a beard. But like I feel like it. If I were in the ring with them, you'd want to. I guess you can't with those gloves, but if it were just like on the street, you'd want to just pull on those things.
You've got to be baby seal smooth, BSBS. That's what I got my degree in. Okay, I mean theater. Okay, so what else we got?
So I did look up the type of leather that's used for the range top kits. There's a question down there about that.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it says, do you know what kind of leather those range dop kits are made of? It reminds me of ironed calfskin with the way it looks. It is full grain Horween leather with waxed polycord thread. So Horween leather is like a specially tanned piece of leather. I used to be really into baseball gloves and some of the really high-end Rawlings.
It smells like a baseball glove.
Yeah, really high-end Rawlings gloves are made out of Horween leather.
Well, mine smells like shaving stuff now. But
is there like a liner in those, or like is it?
No, it's just the other side of the leather.
That's awesome. Because I have one of those DOP ones I bought that was really expensive. It was like $80 like a few years ago, and it had like this crappy little vinyl liner that immediately after opening and closing it a few times, it just came apart.
It's all frilly and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like this kind of thing.
It was that kind of but it was just all black leather, and the inside was all like plastic.
I have a nice one by Penguin. Penguin does products too, and that's really nice. But, I mean, come on, look at this thing. It's like
really cool.
I feel like Beastmaster walking around with this. I mean, this is something else.
These are really, really nice dop bags.
And they're not available to the public yet, folks. I'm sorry, but they will be.
Yeah, you have to get it on the Kickstarter to do it.
Yeah, and it's funny how he ended up there. It's Kyle.
Oh, there you go.
That's
nice.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's another one. But Kyle contacted me like a week before the Big Shave Fest and was like, "Hey, I want to send you a DOP kit to check out." Because I'm a YouTube personality. Though I'm not.
You can thank me for that. Actually, I told him to come and talk.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
See, I never get free stuff. That's why I'm so excited to talk about this stuff today. But yeah, he contacted me, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting and weird, and that never really happens to me." So I took him up on the offer. I didn't actually, though. I said, "Hey, man," instead of replying like, "Yeah, totally, send me the bag," I was like, "You should come to the Big Shave West." I didn't know where he lived or anything like that, but I was like, "Totally, free table, whatever you want. I need someone to do, a demo on leather making products." And he was totally into it. The next day, he was super excited. In fact, I had to remind him after the Big Shave West I never got my bag. But yeah, he got it to me. But so that's how he ended up there doing that. But he I guess he is in California. I'm only assuming since he's
in Wyoming.
Is he? Okay,
yeah,
so he must have made plans.
In Wyoming.
Then he made plans the next within the hour, and he was down. He was into it. So I was like,
I messaged him because I was working on the review for the bag that week coming up to Big Shave West, and I was in communication with him, just like, "Hey, are you coming to Big Shave West? You'd love it." And he's like, "What's that?" "Okay, you need to talk to Douglas." So,
so it was kind of a setup then. So he knew that I was behind the Big Shave West when he was offering me the bag.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Because he did the. You're in charge of that.
Yeah, double cross.
Well, whatever. I got this cool bag out of it. No, Kyle, we're just screwing with you. The craftsmanship.
Fantastic bags. Oh my gosh!
It all worked out. It was great to just to have him on the scene.
If you get in on the Kickstarter, it's I think they're going to be selling for like $125 or something like that. Regular price is $125, and if you get on the quick Kickstarter, it's like $95.
Oh wow!
So fantastic bag for less than $100. It's oh man, I'm that thing will last me the rest of my life.
It's like a thick leather. Yeah, it will last you the rest of your life, and especially if you take care of it and whatnot. It's gonna be
my kids.
Yeah, the kids will be fighting over this at your funeral, Scott.
Yeah,
that's like the was it
next
the
year?
Yeah, leather? I think their slogan is "They'll fight over it when you're dead."
Oh, is it really? Is that really?
Yeah, it is. Wow. They've got great like briefcases and stuff. They're cool.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Been wanting to get one of those for years, but they're like $700.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Christian asked the question. Well, Christian asked the question: how will that leather survive a wet sink in a hotel room? This leather is actually like completely penetrated with waxes and stuff,
nice.
So it's actually waterproof. You could set it on stuff, and your aftershave could leak in here, and you can rinse it out.
Nice.
Could I fill it up with aftershave? Just the bag, though, Scott. And
if you really want to,
dump it. Yeah,
just put your fingers in.
You have tons on hand, so I mean.
Yeah. This has been a really wacky episode today. Clearly, you bring out the best in us, Jordan. But yeah. So what else is? Let's just take it back to Jordan for a second, guys, since he is.
This is our show.
They're very territorial, these boys.
Uh-oh.
Yes, but the podcast. So what do we have in store for Gentleman Scofflaw?
Well, I mean, we're gonna keep doing weekly episodes. It's kind of been picking up steam. Like, it was actually a little bit hard to get guests the first 2-3 episodes because we were just started, right. But now people seem to have listened to it, or when I send someone I want to talk to a link to it and say, hey, we'd like to have you on, they listen to it and want to come on, which is, I guess, is a good thing because they're enjoying listening to it. So we're just going to keep putting out weekly stuff. Right now, it hasn't bogged me down too much in terms of my regular life. I'm still able to do it and, see where it grows from there. But yeah, we have, like I said, I mentioned we're having Zach Anner on next week. We've got John Lair coming on. We've got, this guy, Johan Kalilian, who's a really funny, motivational speaker. We actually might be, I shouldn't say this yet because it's not confirmed, but I'm kind of an old punk rock nerd from when I was a teenager. Mm-hmm. And Mike Herrera from MXPX is coming on. Oh. Might be. It's just a scheduling thing we're working out, which for me is he's one of my heroes from when I was a kid.
Tell him to move to Bremerton.
Yeah, exactly. So so a bunch, mostly just, hopefully we'll get bigger and we'll get to be able to have interesting guests on and keep doing it. Right now it's been fine. So once it starts to not become fun or too hard to do, I don't know. We'll see.
No, I totally hear that. No. Especially after today's episode, I totally hear that.
Now, Jordan, I was, after listening to the episode with the therapist, or it almost got kind of deep in that episode when he started talking about some of the struggles that some of these guys go through with different addictions and stuff. And what really stood out to me is that, kind of on a podcast that deals with, funny topics. And, 1 minute we're talking about aftershave with alcohol that had too much alcohol content. Yeah. And then we're going to some serious stuff about addictions. Was that kind of planned to kind of go into a deep zone, or do you just truly allow the conversation to go where it leads?
Well, it's never really planned, but yeah, we do allow it to go wherever it wants to go. I've always said that I want it to feel off the cuff and real, like we're having a conversation. And so we'll basically every episode we have kind of an outline, and for our guests, we put together talking points just so if it gets awkward or something, let's talk about this, we can go to that or whatever. Right. But I don't censor our guests. I just tell them to talk about whatever you want to talk about. If it steers off the rabbit trail, that's fine. Because that's what, if you're having a conversation with friends, that's how conversations go. They go in and out and come back to things, and they're not super structured. So that was the plan, was for that to be a possibility. Whatever, if something comes up that's deeper, it could go that way.
It certainly did on the episode that Matt and I were on. That was like hanging out at a bar.
Well, that's
Both Matt and I started drinking before the show even happened, and none of us had eaten all day. And we were like, "Well, we need to be all good liquored up for this show." And like, but at one point, like he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him like, "I don't know if I'm going to remember this."
that's funny.
But it was a good time. I actually just stuck that episode over in the sidebar, folks, for those watching that want to check that episode out.
Oh, nice.
That is.
I can put the link to the one we recorded there too.
Oh yeah.
I gotta be careful because I'm into a lot of things, but sometimes like I never want somebody to land on the podcast and think, oh, this is just a podcast about this. And I think some people thought, oh, it's a wet shaving podcast because we were at the Big Shave West, but I mean, it's just about gentlemanly things. And some people thought too, because it got posted on a pipe forum, and people are like, oh, we should put it in the pipe smoking podcast. Like, it's not a pipe smoking podcast. Right. I smoke a pipe on the podcast, but that's not what it's about. It's like, it's about whatever we want it to be about.
Right.
So like, I don't never want to do two of the same things like a week in a row. So maybe we'll post this episode further down the line on our lineup, but right now it's available on our page. So I'm looking to try and grab the link here.
When you were doing the interview, I haven't heard this yet. So when you were doing the interviews, was it clear that you were at the Big Shave West for this, or was they just like little mini interviews?
No, we did. We did it as a Big Shave West.
Okay.
So we kind of talked, introduced it, and then we just kind of went to various interviews throughout the day, closed it out. But it was just a Big Shave West centered episode.
That's right. Have you got any feedback on any of this?
Some people on Twitter listened to it and really enjoyed it, and I sent it out to everyone who signed up on the list there at the Big Shave West so that they would get it right away. It went up like the next, I think, what was Big Shave West on a Sunday or Saturday? Saturday. So it went up that Monday, the Monday morning afterwards. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I did not know this.
Let me see. I sent it out on the email blast, but all right, here I'm about to send the link.
Nice.
There you go.
Okay, the link over in the side column, gentlemen. For those watching after the fact, I will have one in the show notes. But yeah, it's truly an excellent podcast. If you're a fan of like manly things, but with a sense of humor, you will definitely enjoy the Gentleman's Scofflaw podcast. I didn't know what to expect when I first checked it out, and I was sold immediately just because I like their sense of humor. And also, I like the tones of your voice. You and Donovan, and then you have John and Canada. That's just like, yeah, hey! But you guys are like, the grounding forces behind it. And I'm jealous of that because my voice is like, it's almost. I sound Canadian. No, I don't. But I don't have this this grounding voice.
Yeah, Donovan has a really low voice, but it's got enough mids in it where it's easy to mix. I've got a low voice, but I have like perpetual allergies. I always have. So it's very nasally. So I have to like bring up the highs and mids in EQ afterwards. Otherwise it's just too muffled when you listen to it on big speakers.
Right. No, I thoroughly enjoy it, and I definitely recommend the show for anyone watching it. In fact, the poll today, guys, if you haven't checked it out yet, down below, is whether or not you listen to podcasts or not. I'm curious. I was just thinking about this yesterday. It's like, how many folks are listening to podcasts these days? Has the number grown or has the number shrank? So I'd be curious to know. Actually, I want to see where we're at right now with that poll.
When do you think you started listening to podcasts, Douglas?
I started not as early as a lot of people. I probably 2007.
Okay. So that's still pretty early on. I remember in college hearing about them and kind of dabbling, listening to a couple of episodes of them. But I feel like for me, I didn't really get started to like subscribing to them and listening to regular stuff till like 2013. So
yeah,
I feel like there was a big boom around that, especially with comedy podcasts.
Yeah,
Jordan. I used to live in the LA area before moving out to. I lived in Orange County, and when I moved out to Arizona, one of my favorite radio shows out there was Kevin and Bean. On K-Rock. And so, since I couldn't listen to them anymore, that's when I discovered a podcast. So it was probably 2009, 2010.
Okay, cool.
But that was my first introduction, and then started finding out that there was a whole nother world outside of, big corporate radio podcasts that we could find somebody like yourself. And it's really,
it's fun too, because there's no there's no limits on it. Like that's the thing with radio is like you have to. And I've worked on my brother's show before. Now he doesn't have any limits, but for when they do their radio show, it was always like we have to fit between like 6.5 minutes, and then we've got 15 minutes of advertising or whatever it is, and then another 3 minutes, and it's like you really don't have that much content when you're done with it after the commercials are in there. So with a podcast like our episodes, we only just started doing some sponsored ads, but I mean, there's only going to be 2 of them, and they're like less than a minute long for like an hour and a half thing. So,
yeah, I think the trick is product placement. Like, but how do you do that on radio?
Yeah.
Donovan, can you pass me the Old Spice? Thank you. I don't know. Actually, that'd be a funny a skit to hear.
Yeah.
Product placement.
There's the whole FCC thing too, like where it's like, our podcast doesn't get off in the weeds where we get very like crass or anything to where it needs to be censored that much, but we could still talk. We don't have sponsors that are controlling what we say. We don't have so there's definitely more freedom than doing it like over the airwaves or something.
Sure. Oh, definitely. And it's refreshing to listen to. And actually podcasts, that's one thing I do like about podcasts is it's just as good, if not better, as the corporate stuff that's been shoved down our throat for years. Actually, it is better. There are some lousy podcasts out there because anyone can do it, but they typically don't last long. They run like 2 or 3 episodes and they die off, and there's a good reason for that. But the ones that last, that have staying power, there's a reason for that. And it's just the quality of the show and the content. Yeah. So, and you're one of those. So it's great to have this new podcast to check out, and it's for all of us to kind of grow with it. So I'm excited.
Oh, awesome. Well, thanks too for having us at Big Shave West and doing our show, having me on here. It helps us too with more people finding out about it. So
we're down for the cause. We're all down for the cause. So, folks, we are about to wrap up today's episode. Can you believe how fast this has gone by? And Crazy. It's our 86th episode. Actually, funny story. It's not actually 86. I've kind of been living a lie for the last 8 episodes. It's actually our 85th episode. Somewhere along the line, I know. But someone asked me like, "Hey, where's episode 82?" or something like that, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know." So I'm like looking for it, and I'm like, "Oh no." I skipped it. So it's kind of going to be like, I know our very first episode, we didn't hit the record button. I don't know what happened there. But so
that happened so many times on first episodes.
That definitely happened. And, and this is a live show too. So we think we're going live. We think we're great. And it wasn't recording. No one actually saw that live episode. So I'm saying that's the missing episode. So it kind of figures itself out, but this is so I have to get this off my chest, guys. I can't live this lie anymore or lie to you. But I'd like to thank all of you for joining us today on the Wet Shavers Roundtable, episode 86. You know what? I gotta pick a winner. I have to pick a winner.
Yeah, pick someone.
Guys, let me before we go, talk amongst yourselves as I figure out what I'm doing here.
I will invert.
Wait a second, I gotta enter. Hold on. Just kidding, I'm not gonna do it.
No, you can enter.
No, it's good.
I want you to be happy, Scott.
That was one of the things though when we were doing the Art of Manliness stuff. Every week they had giveaways, and I could never enter them. Like I used to always enter them when I was just a follower, and then when I started doing the work, I was like, there's no chance of me ever winning this cool stuff again because
yeah.
With the show.
No, it's so true. You can't.
Are there any head shavers in the audience today? Just curious if you.
Yep,
I think there were a few.
Okay.
So, real quickly, some of you guys that are head shavers, that are bald guys, might want to check out a brush like this. It's a contoured brush.
Oh.
I've been using it lately to actually brush my scalp and just like to help. I shave my head regularly, but just to help exfoliate a little bit regularly. Mm-hmm. If you go a day or two in between shaves, something like this, it's actually been really nice. It works really well for your beard too. So
that is something. It reminds me of like a shoe shine brush or something like that.
Yeah,
it looks like.
But it's contoured.
Okay, our winner was the second person who entered, Chad Burns.
Hey!
Oh, congratulations, Chad.
I'm pretty sure he's a head shaver. So Chad, just shoot me your Actually, I already have your contact information, but you should just connect with me anyways via a PM or something like that. But congratulations, Chad Burns, for you watching after the fact on YouTube. It's not over for you yet. So please like, comment, and subscribe. Your comment below will definitely ensure that you are counted and entered into the giveaway after the fact. And like I said, I'll give it a few days to fill up with comments, and then I will enter you in a random drawing for a shave soap after shave and shave soap. Whatever. But you're going to win big is what it all comes down to. So once again, thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Lennon, for sitting in for Mantic. Thank you, Scott, for just being who you are. And thank you very much, Jordan Crowder, for being our very, very special guest on today's episode of the Wet Shavers Roundtable.
Well, thanks, guys. It's been fun.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Jordan.